Hello, 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 and welcome to Nerd Salad Gaming. I'm your host, the Kieselguer Kid, and today we are going to be playing the first Crash Bandicoot game. Alright, so I know that this game has an awful lot of import for an awful lot of people, right? It was kind of this seminal or iconic game for a lot of the gaming community, and especially for people kind of in the same age range-ish, perhaps as myself, right? Because I remember playing this game as a kid, so I have a lot of memories associated with this game, and I'm looking forward to, as we play through, kind of sharing a lot of those with you. Alright, so what we're doing right now is just kind of the walkthrough tutorial level, right? Showing us kind of the really basic ground level mechanics of the game, right? Like here's how you jump, here's how you spin, etc, etc. And while it might not look like it now, those of you unfamiliar with Crash Bandicoot will shortly learn that this game is brutally difficult and incredibly unforgiving. Alright, see, so I've got my little invincibility frames, right? It does a really good job of showing you, like, hey, here's your little mask buff. And when you get 3 of the little masky guys, right, you can see him right there. There's little feathers flapping in the breeze. His name is Aku Aku. When you get 3 masks, when you unlock 3 mask boxes, or smash them, I guess, as they are currently being smashed over Crash's head, then you get invincibility frames. So that's just kind of that nice little quasi-tutorial experience, right? Like tutorial without being in a tutorial. And I just kind of blew through that, and we're going to move very, very rapidly through these first few levels, if for no other reason than that I spent an inordinately long amount of time actually attempting to get this thing recorded, right? I believe this is my 4th run through of up to about the 2nd boss battle, right? Because, you know, I kept having issues. There we go with our invincibility frames again. Yay. Yeah, I kept having sound balance issues, and then I would have latency issues, so I really hope that all of those issues have been corrected, and that... Okay. Sorry, that got a little stressful there, because I wasn't sure when the mask was going to end, and so I might have met an untimely demise there. But hopefully all of those issues have been resolved. You know, I'm going to check again after I record this episode. Going to play it back just to be absolutely positive that we fixed all latency and sound balance issues. Goodness gracious. Oh, I lost a little masky dude. But yeah, so I'm really up. Okay. And that, my children, is how you really stupidly waste a buff. But I'm really excited to be playing this game, right? And to be sharing the experience of playing this game as we head into our first ever bonus with you guys, which is why I've, you know, worked really hard to get this game in particular off the ground in terms of a stream, because this game is really probably, if you want to make a list, right, of like most important, most iconic, most influential video and first death of the playthrough. We're good, we're fine, it's okay. You know, most influential video games in a gamer's development, right? Crash Bandicoot is probably number 1, right? Like, I can't think of a game that for me has had a greater impact than the first trilogy, right? The Naughty Dog trilogy of Crash Bandicoots, and then this game in particular, even though it isn't my favorite of the 3. My favorite is the 3rd one. But I think this one has some of the most interesting gameplay. I think it has, like, really distinctly the biggest spikes in difficulty And so I think it's the most interesting to watch. And so, thus, we becometh a Let's Player, and this is the game that we select. Alright. So we've seen a couple of the level varieties so far, right? Like, we've seen kind of the standard forward movement one, and then we've seen the variant with the little rollers. God dang it. There we go. And now we're seeing another level that you can tell I'm pretty darn bad at. Okay, I'm pretty darn bad at it, and it's the vertical climb levels that are often in the form of, early on, like a native fortress. I think there's a level later on literally called Native Fortress. Or, you know, just some sort of like vertical climb, right? And I'm really bad at these. I'm really bad at them for a lot of different reasons, right? The first one probably being just that I suck. But there are other reasons inherent in why these levels are sort of naturally very challenging, and I'm going to demonstrate some of that to you right now. So, okay, so we're spinning and we're getting up on these platforms, right? So right now this looks like a pretty standard 2.5D scroller, right? Like, you're side-scrolling, you have one very distinct camera angle. There's not really any, god damn it, no deviation from that one camera angle. And you get to move left or right and up or down. Okay, but see, here's the thing. Crash Bandicoot has Z levels, or I think that's what they're called, Z levels. Anyway, there's another dimension of movement. He can technically move backwards and forwards. Back, forward. Okay? And so when you're playing in these 2.5D, damn it, in these 2.5D environments, that makes it a lot harder when you're trying to, say, finesse a jump, right? Like, if there's a very specific place you need to land, having that very small amount of variance that is determined by sort of the unconscious angle that you've got your analog stick tilted at, right? So if you've got your analog stick tilted in the wrong way, right? Like, it's like a quarter turn too far up, then you're totally boned. Woo. And so that, I want to say that's part of why games like this are so brutally difficult, but really, Crash Bandicoot was brutally difficult well before this even became a... Nope. Ah, God, no, I gotta try. Okay. Brutally difficult, even kind of before those concerns were embedded into the game. And that's part of why this game has kind of lasted as this testament to the brutality of classic video games. Because the original Crash Bandicoot came out, and at least I remember getting the PlayStation 1 in my home, and with this game, and the controllers did not have analog sticks, right? There were only the directional pads. And so you had exactly 4 directions that you could move in any given level. And so that meant that you were able to very, very tightly control exactly where your character was, right? Now we aren't used to using D-pads, and so that in and of itself becomes very, very difficult if you attempt to use directional pads. But that's part of why, as these games have been translated and ported and all those other things, why a lot of that difficulty is now retained in the days of, say, now we have games like Shovel Knight. And Jesus Christ, it's one of these levels. But yeah, so that's why this game is still very, very difficult, even moving forward, is because the way that the controls and such have been moved over into current generational gameplay adds new nuance to the difficulty of it. But moving on and forward, you may have noticed that I have spent the last 30 seconds or so getting chased by giant frickin' boulders. So there's going to be several levels like this. And I think if there is an iconic Crash Bandicoot level, right, it would be a level like this one. It would be one of the boulder levels, because that's really what you think of when Crash Bandicoot players think of Crash Bandicoot. This is the Easter egg in Uncharted 4. When Nathan Drake and Elena are, playing a PlayStation 1, they're trying to beat one of the boulder levels. Yay, I got a crystal. I don't get boxes smashed over my head this time. Good for me. So we're going to see a lot more levels like that. And they are going to get, as I keep saying again, extremely, extremely, extremely difficult as we move forward. Yeah, like I said, all of this stuff, it's a combination of just having played everything so much, trying to get these episodes recorded. And also the first several levels of this game aren't actually very difficult, right? Because they're just showcasing for you, in the way that a good video game does, the different sorts of environments and problems that you will encounter, right? It's templating the game for you by giving you a pretty easy boulder level, right? And saying, hey, this is an environment that you will be expected to navigate, right? As opposed to doing what some games do, and when they want to introduce a new layer of difficulty, they'll just dump the player into an entirely new sort of level with an entirely new mechanic that they have no experience with, right? Blindsiding a character with shit they've never done before late in the game does not good difficulty progression make, right? And so instead of doing that, I really like what Naughty Dog has done here, where they're showing us early on, like, here's kind of the base form, right? The parent function, in nerdy math terms, of each of these kinds of levels. And then as you move forward in the game, you get to see, you get to see these same kinds of levels, but the levels themselves have increased in difficulty. And so you're doing the same things, but they're harder now. So, the way you ideally, right, learn how to navigate new things, the way you should learn. Sorry, got on my teacher soapbox for a little bit. All right, bonus round time. Oh, God. Oh, God. Narrow gaps. Gaps of death. Okay. Okay. We're really close. We're getting it, and we're good. We got it. Boom. Okay. Man, for some reason the artificial void, right? The we didn't want to render a ground, and so there is an infinite abyss beneath your character, right? For some reason that does just kind of instill a kind of really primal fear in me, even to this day. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't really have a great fear of heights, but yeah, things with like, and now you shall fall forever. That definitely raises my hackles, right? Hackles thoroughly raised. Oh, look, first boss fight. Let's do it. All right, and it's after PAPU, right? After this first boss that the difficulty really spikes. So I think I'm going to end the episode after this boss fight, and then come back next time, and we'll get to see some really intense, the beginnings of really intense gameplay. But for right now, let's beat up this not at all racist caricature, right? I really appreciate Naughty Dog's growth as a development company. There we go. And I wasted him. But yeah, no. Yeah, don't have the double V's. I am not a crook. But yeah, we can just let that boss lie there in all of his not great implications for the dev team and the state of culture at the time that the dev team was making that game. It's a good game. It really is. It's a good game, but we shouldn't overlook the issues within good games, right? And that little bit of cultural insensitivity, not something we should really overlook. Okay, all right. So I think I'm going to call this one an episode. And like I said, I'm going to go back through and watch this, and I hope to God that we have fixed all of our latency issues, and I'll just be able to hop right back into recording. So thank you all very much for watching. If there's anything that you would like to see me do or hear me talk about, or something that you think that I could be doing differently, please comment and let me know. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!